In today's video, we're going to be talking all about this full moon that we're having in the sign of Scorpio. That is also a total lunar eclipse as well as a supermoon. So with that being said, this is an exciting one. It's an amplified moon, and let's get into the five ways, because I have my notes right here. I'm going to forget if I don't. 5 ways that you can make this moon phase, this supermoon, this eclipse work in your favor. So if you're interested, then keep on watching. All right, so we're going to be talking about 5 things that you need to know for this full moon. There's a lot going on, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can already feel the energy in the air. I know a lot of you guys have been messaging me, a lot of my clients and everything. I see your messages, and I see, just know that there's a lot going on in the air. Let's get into 5 things that we need to know about this, because I did write them down. And I'm going to be going off of this so that I don't forget anything, because I feel like I have short-term memory loss, so I need to write everything down. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that this Scorpio full moon is ruled by Pluto. And Pluto is known as the ruler of the underworld. So what does that tell you? It tells you that a lot of this new energy right now is going to be about your shadow self. And I specifically wrote down a few things that sometimes when you have already put something in the past, when you've already put something behind you, sometimes life situations happen, things can get triggered, things can come up that remind you of that very thing that you put in the past. And that's normal. And a lot of the times when those things kick up, we don't really handle it the way that we're supposed to. We kind of go back to our old ways of handling our shadows, because that's the only ways that we knew how, that we know how. So in this case, I do feel like this supermoon, this eclipse, there's so much energy around something about your shadow self that is about to come forth. But in this instance, in this circumstance, in this situation, you're going to be able to have full control over it. This time, going through a situation maybe that you have went through before, or going through a situation that reminds you of something that you went through before, or just triggers memories or kicks something up of something you went through before. What I wrote is that this time is going to be different because the Scorpio full moon is going to show you your way. The Scorpio full moon, if you do tap into your shadow self, this Scorpio full moon is going to help you very, very much. It's going to help you find the clarity that you need, how to make allies with your shadow, how to process it, how to tame it, how to control it, and how to become more powerful over your shadow. We will always have our shadow self. Always, always. And they will come up in different circumstances of our life. Just like, say you walk in front of an area where it casts a shadow of your whole body on the cement. There's certain places and certain weather and stuff you will go to that it will cast a shadow of you behind you, right? And that's how life is. That's how I saw this. Is sometimes life will do that. It will show you or cast your shadow right behind you, and it's up to you if you want to just keep walking and enjoy your life, or you want to tame that shadow, make it your ally, make it favor you. There's so many things you could do with your shadow self. Heal it, but I do feel like there's a sense of the shadow coming out. But in this time, Scorpio full moon will definitely help you tame it. A lot of you are going to find a lot of control in this situation. You're going to find a lot of just deep set control, and it's something that I feel like a lot of you have been looking for. And with the Scorpio full moon, you find that control. It might come in a shaky little way, but you get what you want, and I do want you to keep that in mind. Scorpio is ruled by the scorpion, and so scorpions are such an interesting creature. They're very interesting, they're very terrifying, but also people can keep them as pets, people also eat them. There's so many aspects of this little creature, but in this case, I do feel like, a lot of you might be attacking more than you should, and, the scorpion will only attack when it feels threatened. And for you guys, I feel like, what if it is that you feel threatened in situations you shouldn't feel threatened in, and you just attack? So I feel like that might be an aspect of a lot of people's shadow self that might be coming up right now, is just to attack. when you don't really need to. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. The second thing I wrote down is this full moon is going to be bringing us a lot of endings and closure, finding peace in closure of something. And this is something I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for. And the way that the planets are going to be arranging themselves, and the way that we have this supermoon and also like the eclipse, everything is amplified, and it's amplified around endings and closure, because Scorpio is the sign that rules transformation, change, death, rebirth. There's going to be a lot of change and transformation and like strong changes in people's mind and heart of certain situations. And it all comes from you really realizing what it is that you need for yourself to thrive and survive. And then the lunar eclipse is going to be bringing changes that are very sudden and abrupt. Eclipses are known to bring sudden, quick, abrupt changes. And Scorpio full moon is also known for transformation, death, rebirth. Not a literal death, but death of something in your life that maybe you were holding on to that was poisoning your own self. So I do want to talk about literally the card for death in the Santa Muerte deck, the Santa Muerte tarot deck, is death. But in this card, she is pregnant, and she is Lady Death. She is Holy Death. She is Saint Death. And she's standing in front of this cradle in that card as herself, as Lady Death. That's the death card. But she's pregnant. So what this teaches me around this whole energy that we're about to have in this full moon too is death doesn't mean an ending. Energy doesn't end. It transmutes, it transfuses, it changes, it just transforms. Which is the whole point of the Scorpio full moon, is transformation. So energy, lots and lots of energy is going to be transmuting, transforming, dying. But then, like Santa Muerte is pregnant in that card, it's not a death of something that is completely the end. It's like a resurrection of that, like a phoenix rising, right? Like it's ending of something bad, but the new creation that is in the works is going to be very, very, like that new life that is going to come into your life, whether it be a new baby, a new business, money, a new job, a new house. It could be anything, but it's going to be very beneficial for you. So losing something or letting go of something is going to bring you something new. So keep that in mind around this time especially. Energy doesn't die, it transmutes. Do spells for closure, for inner peace. I want you guys to do things where you put things to rest, whether that be you need therapy, or you want to get a spiritual advisor, you want to get a reading done, you want to journal, you want to talk to somebody, you want to have that conversation you've been trying to have, you want to get things out of your system, you want to talk, communicate, express your throat chakra, open it up. It's a time for closure. Anything you need for closure, this is the time, and the planets will benefit you. Third thing I want to talk about is that perhaps you will come across a death that has already happened in your life, but you've been clinging on to. This could be a literal death. Maybe sometimes we grieve longer than we should. We hold on to a lot of things longer than we should. We don't allow ourselves to heal, and death is a really hard thing to heal from. Maybe one day I can talk about my experience, because that was a catapult of my journey into spirituality, was a death that happened. And so I can talk about that more. But right now with this full moon, there is an aspect of you walking into this death that probably has already occurred. That's what I see. This isn't a death that's like coming, and I'm not talking about literal death that's coming, no. I'm talking about maybe a literal death of a person that happened, and your shadow self might come into like another thing that you need to heal from it, or maybe like you're reminded of it, and then you go from there. Maybe you might get new insight, new reflection off of it. There's a lot of things that can happen, because there's so many energies around the air around this time, but it is around rebirth, death, transformation, changes, and stuff like that. Some other things that I wrote down here is that maybe a relationship or a job served its purpose, but you're holding on to it for too long. Maybe a house that you're living in that you've kind of outgrown, and you just want something new and fresh. Maybe it's a lifestyle that you're living that you want to change it up. Maybe you want a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you want to work out more. Maybe you want to rest more. I mean, it's different for every single person. Another thing I wanted to talk about is around this time when there's a Scorpio full moon, and then on top of that it's a supermoon, on top of that it's a eclipse, the energy is very, very amplified. And this time, just in a full moon in Scorpio already, it's like a parent giving the child a little boost, like, you know, just trying to help them out. The child is trying to walk, they're struggling, so the parent will hold them up a little bit, push them a little bit. So this is kind of what's going on right now. Scorpio full moon does that, and right now it's amplified. So the universe, your spirits, your spirit guides, your ancestors, your higher self, your inner child, they're going to give you that little push. And sometimes a push might be a little bit uncomfortable for you because you've been stuck in your comfort zone, but it's going to be a really, really good thing for you, and you will see it and you'll be excited, and it is something that you need, and your spirits see it, but they know that you will not take that first step. And full moon in Scorpio it will push you. It will get you out of your comfort zone. It will make you take that step to find what pleases you and makes you happy. Don't be surprised if you have sudden help that shows up. This full moon in Scorpio, Scorpio is all about help and resources and just, you know, support coming in from somewhere, somehow, some way. So don't be surprised if you do find support coming in, whether it's from family, you get an inheritance, you get a check in the mail, or, you know, you've been trying to rent this place and it finally goes through after you've been struggling. Whatever the case may be, it feels like something will come into fruition because you worked really hard at it and you fought for it. You fought for it. And Scorpio full moon will always, always, always benefit people who fight for what they want. Scorpion, they're fighters, so they will favor that. But at the same time, let's not fight in the circumstances and situations that we don't really need to. And, you know, you're exerting your energy for no reason. The fourth thing I wanted to talk about is favorable aspects of this moon and unfavorable aspects of this moon. So you'll kind of get to see if this moon is favoring you or where it's trying to show you and teach you what you need to learn, what you possibly need to reflect on and see more and prioritize more. So let's see where you are on this scale. I did write down the good aspects of this moon and the bad aspects of this moon. So let's get into it. Favorable, the favorable aspects of this moon are your hidden talents coming out. Scorpions, their hidden talent, you know what it is. They can attack, they can poison you. I mean, they have a lot of talent. These little creatures have a lot of talent. And another thing is taking quick action. They're very quick, and they know when to be quick. They will only be quick when they feel threatened. And so I feel like a lot of you are going to be taking quick action when you feel pressure, okay, around this moon. A lot of you are going to be taking charge. You're going to be taking initiative, taking leadership, taking control, which is what Scorpio full moon does. It reminds me so much of the Scorpion. A lot of you will find sexual confidence, a lot of energy around sexuality, because Scorpio rules sexuality. And so a lot of you might be healing, processing, maybe a little bit more aroused than usual, maybe reflecting, maybe getting some help for it. It's different for every single person, but there is a focus on your sexuality around this full moon. Another thing is deep feelings and intuition. Scorpios probably out of the whole zodiac sign, they go the deepest besides maybe Pisces. Scorpios are very, I feel like they're quiet, but they can be loud, but they're very expressive. And they're not quiet for no reason, and they're not loud for no reason. They always have a purpose, intention behind it, and they always they're entertaining, or their emotions and their words, their wisdom and everything, it goes very, very deep. If you ever have a conversation with a Scorpio, it's probably going to be one of the most intellectual, very sustenance. It's a conversation of sustenance. It just has depth to it. So I do feel like a lot of you are going to be coming into that energy of yourself, because it's amplified with this full moon and the supermoon and the eclipse, of just really going deep with your feelings, understanding them, gaining clarity, expressing them better, and all that stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And another thing that I wrote down here is a lot of you are going to be following your own instincts, your own gut. Just like the scorpion will only follow its own instincts and its own gut. And so you're just going to kind of learn to trust it and also just follow it. And you'll feel gravitated to follow your own intuition, whereas before maybe a lot of you were listening to other people, or just confused or lost or wandering, and that's okay. But this Scorpio full moon is bringing a lot of clarity and just structure and like putting your feet in the ground. Now, the unfavorable aspects of this moon phase are that you might not be setting your intentions and expectations out there clearly enough for your boss, your family, your, spouse, your children, whoever it is that this relationship is with. It just seems like you're not letting your expectations be known, but then you're expecting them to know what it is you want and feel and expect. And that's a big lesson that I'm currently learning, is you cannot expect anybody to know what you want and how you feel and all that stuff. So it's very beneficial to communicate all of that stuff. So that's something that might be an unfavorable thing around this full moon for a lot of people, is just expecting something, and then when they don't get it, they're like, well, you should have known, but then you never made it clear. So keep that in mind. Another thing is that a lot of people might get a little extra possessive around this time. If it is an unfavorable aspect of this full moon, you can get a little possessive. You can also get a little bit negative and critical, kind of looking at the negative and finding things to criticize and be critical about. So keep that in mind. If you do find yourself in a spiral of that, just know that that's an unfavorable aspect of this moon phase. And let's try to work through that with the first thing on my Patreon. Go to my Patreon. If you guys are on my Patreon, we did a journal entry of 30 things that you are grateful for, and then we did an experiment with it, and we're going to see how the energy creates traction in our life. So if you're interested, go on Patreon. But I do feel like if you do find yourself in these possessive, negative, critical, and there's a few more that I wrote here, energies, then first thing you need, energy is our point of attraction. Our energy literally is like a magnet. Whether what we feel, whether what we think, what we think affects what we feel affects what we think. So it's like, they gotta work together a little bit, and you have to teach them how to work together. But around this time, I really do feel like these are the unfavorable aspects. And if you do find yourself in them, I want you to just sit down. Sit down. Sit down, get a pen and paper, and write 30 things you're grateful for. 30 things you're grateful for. When I did this, at number 15, I was just like, okay, what else? But it forces you to find things in your life that you're grateful for, and that creates an energy. Okay? Some other unfavorable aspects of this moon might be that you may act a little vengeful, resentful, grudgeful. Grudges may come up. You might feel extra amplified in your vengefulness and grudges and stuff like that, pettiness and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. And then another thing is you might go into attack mode. What is a scorpion? If it feels threatened, it will attack. So you might go into attack mode in a situation that you don't really need to. But for some of you, it might be going into attack mode in a situation that you do need to. And that's where we need to get our head and mind straight in order and reflect on what is a situation where we would feel so undervalued and so disrespected that we would attack back. And what are those situations that we could just be like, I'm not going to waste my time, I'm not going to go to jail, I'm just going to go home, get a glass of wine, play with my animals, and I'm just going to have a good life while you just go do whatever you need to. There's so many different ways to handle a situation, and to each their own. Some are right, sometimes some are right, some are wrong. Sometimes you do need to punch a girl in the face or punch a guy in the face because they disrespected you, but sometimes it's just better to just walk away. So you need to pick your battles, and that's a big thing around this moon phase. And another thing is a lot of people might start to overwork, where they try to, escape one area of their life, maybe their home life, the domestic life, your marriage, your kids' life, whatever it is, and then you overwork yourself. Or maybe you're so stressed out at work that when you come home, you overwork yourself in your house. You clean everything, you do. It's chaotic, it's crazy, and you're burning yourself out. And that's an unfavorable aspect of a Scorpio full moon. So you don't want to do that. You need to balance rest with, equal energy output, right? And then the fifth thing that I wanted to talk about is the part of our body or the chakra system that is going to get affected during this full moon, or the place in our body, the chakra that might be a little bit more sensitive. And in this case, it's our root and our sacral. So our root chakra is our first chakra, and it's in between our legs, and it governs how safe we feel, secure we feel, stable we feel in our relationships, our house, our money, our finances, our self, our spirituality, everything. And then our sacral chakra governs how artistic we feel, how creative we feel, our sexuality, how much happiness and pleasure we allow into our life or don't allow, So this is going to be a huge thing around this full moon, because remember, it's a supermoon too. And I actually did write down it's a lunar eclipse and a supermoon. So a lunar eclipse is basically when the moon looks usually very red or very orange, and it means that the earth is in the middle of the sun and the moon. So the earth is going to be right in the middle of the sun and the moon. That's crazy, right? If you think about it, that's crazy. The energies, of course, are going to affect us in such a way. Our reproductive organs are going to be at high play right now. So a lot of you might be getting more aroused than usual, more horny than usual. If you guys are interested, I do have an OnlyFans that I talk about a lot of those things. And a lot of you are going to, might be trying to get pregnant, or a lot of you might get pregnant that you didn't expect. So keep that in mind. And then we also have that the reason that it's affecting our sacral and our root chakra together is because it's a cycle of birth and death. So our root chakra is basically our first chakra. It's near the ground. It's our physical, everything representing our tangible physical, everything you can see, taste, smell, touch, hear. And so that's our bodies, And then we have our sacral, which is sexuality. So I do see that as death and birth, So I do feel like there's going to be death of something, whether that be a habit, a lifestyle, a way of thinking, a relationship, a job, whatever this may be for you. But it's something that you've been trying to manifest, but you just kind of been scared to take those steps into it. And the universe and your guides and everything is presenting it right in front of you, and you're not stepping into it. So the universe might kind of push you into it a little bit. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys is to work with red crystals, black crystals, red candles, black candles. Those are going to be very beneficial, very favorable around this time. Use cloves. I want you guys to use hibiscus. I want you guys to work with geraniums, milk thistle, roses. And if you guys are looking for a specific deity to work with around the Scorpio full moon, the ones that I would personally work with, Kali, of course. Santa Muerte, of course, 100%. And Hecate. Hecate is also another one. Medusa is another one that I know a lot of you guys work with. Isis is another one you guys work with. I feel like this is a really, really good time to work with the divine, dark, feminine energy. And the two that I would, personally, that I will be working with is, of course, Kali and Santa. But whoever you work with, if you have an ancestor that's an elder, feminine, like the head of household elder that has passed on, work with her. It's a really good time for dark feminine energy. And so yes, that is going to be everything that I wanted to talk about with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very, very soon.